What is the email address?
Probably no more than everybody together.
You don't want that.
But you just probably no more than everybody together.
We are connected.
Are we ready? Yep. All right, call the meeting to order. Everybody please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the
United States of
America,
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Remain standing for a moment of silence, please, for departed members. Thank you. All right, start with the roll call there, please.
Yes.
Nick. Here. Rich. Here.
Dave.
Here.
Brian.
Here. I'd like to note that Dan is running a couple minutes late. He will be joining us, and in the meantime, I will continue to run the meeting for the sake of keeping it going. We normally do a public sessions, if people are aware, public session at the beginning and the end of the meeting. With COVID, we've been doing the public sessions at the end, but that still does not inhibit any way people from participating. So anybody that's out there in YouTube land watching this, hello, thank you. Thank you for joining us. If you have any comments at all on anything that you would have brought up at the beginning of the meeting or anything throughout the meeting, those comments can be sent to our secretary at adminassistant@ngfd.org. That's admin assistant, all one word, at ngfd.org. So Bob will be watching his email and he'll let us know if anything comes in during the course of the meeting, and we'll deal with it at the end of the meeting with public session. So with that said, let's see, fire district building report. I have nothing on it. Dave, you have anything on it? Joe is
Yeah, we
here.
had Joe here today. We met with the Whitesville Fire Department Building Committee, got together.
Okay.
And we sat down a little bit, and Joe's got something to say on that.
Yeah, we'll just let Joe report that.
I'll start by mentioning what Bob and myself have been going through in the last month with the generator at Wyanskill. I want to thank Bob first of all because he's been hands-on and we've been working together for it started March 16th is when it started again to act up. So anyway, long story short, the day initially went bad. Adam Littlefield talked to Jason from EPS, blah, blah, blah. We got it back. The transfer switch wasn't working right because the herd was all messed up. It was running from 50, 55, took a long time to get to 60, and then it ramped up and switched. So Jason, Dave from EPS contracting got into it, adjusted it, it was running fine. Jumping forward to Milton Cat, which was there last week. They got there, did their service, adjusted, made a few more adjustments. Now we're only gonna have that testing twice a month, every other week. So it doesn't interfere with the UPSs that we had that were not, they were failing also. So we couldn't get into the fire station a couple different times because the UPS weren't opening the doors, even though the power was transferring. Dave Young has been there, he put a new UPS in for the one downstairs. And we found that the internet was being aggravated by that also. So long story short, everything is working now with a combination of an effort from a lot of people. The UPS problem downstairs should be solved because he put a larger one in there because it eventually just quit. So the one upstairs malfunctioned, but we got that. The internet speed that we were looking for, because you guys are paying for like 700 or something like that, 690, 700, that wasn't working upstairs at all. But they found because it was all data over voice, everything was piggybacked through the telephones upstairs. That's why they only had like a 96 speed. up in their internets. I ran a phone line for that, they hooked that in, and now we have the same problem, that was in the chief's office. Now we have the same problem in the executive side, the president's office. So we were researching 120 volt plugs for the phones up there that would alleviate that, or run a new phone line over to those guys. So they have the 700 speed. Me and Bob will just keep talking about that, to get that situation solved. It's not a major deal, but when people go up there to use the internet for their end of year reports and all that, that's when it's an issue.
So,
But we got half the stuff solved, we'll get the other stuff solved. And that brings us to the end of the situation with the generator where Milton Cap was there. After his maintenance on Wednesday, he diddled with it, I made some more adjustments. Transfer switch is working properly, they got a different runtime on it. So it comes up to the 60 hertz really quick. And within 30 seconds to a minute, it can transfer with no issues. Because it was getting stuck in a neutral position, if you understand the transfer switch. So anyways, he gave us a detailed report, and he was gonna give you some kind of communication with the updated invoice or project.
Well, it's gonna be, they're gonna give us a quote. Milton Cat is gonna provide us with a quote. I thought I'd have it today, but we didn't get it today. To do a good tune-up on the generator, like a thorough tune-up, new wires, plugs, and there's some oil leaks where it's just some simple
Some gaskets.
gaskets and stuff like that. So as soon as I get that quote, I'll disseminate it to Joe and everybody else.
And the one thing that he did say, this guy Rick, I think he might have found it, and the guy from Dave from EPS didn't. The radiator
Yeah.
looks solid, but he said the shut-off valve and things like that on it that are all silver soldered in there. Made anytime, he said it could last 10 years, it could last 10 minutes, but it looks like it's on the verge of being compromised. So the cooling system also, besides like Bob said, the oil pan gasket, the head gasket, valve cover gaskets, if they're in there, they're gonna look at the valves and scuff them up to make them back up to where they should be. It's an 1980, 81 vintage unit, old white motor. He said it's a great motor, a little love, little TLC. It'll continue to, do less well. It's only got 1,420 hours on it or something like that, so.
barely broke in.
Well, the major thing is just, it does exercise itself. And we're finding these little things now, which is good, instead of like the one morning that it did fail, we couldn't get in the firehouse for an alarm. They had to go upstairs because that's not on the emergency panels, go through the fob system, through the upstairs and then back downstairs, so. I think, long story short, it was a minor issue, and Bob has really been on top of the station over there, so I thank him for that. And, we're in a good position right now.
I got a question,
Yes.
a quick question on the telephone system. If I understood you correctly, the problem is that the phones are dependent on voice over IP
And power,
and that's taking away from the internet?
yes.
How old, do we know how old that phone
That's a
is?
brand new system. But this is again, the problem, the station is aged. And when they redid that second floor of that newer commissioner's office, they never ran enough cables to satisfy a new system. So the cables that are feeding that are daisy chained through the telephones. And when they don't do that, looking for their power, it's,
Pulling down everything else.
well, it's not letting the system do what it's supposed to do. Because a normal data system these days, one jack usually has 4 wires in it for data, computer, software for printers and all that. And now that you guys have everything over here, they try to print over there and they gotta come back and forth over the
But
line.
you think we can alleviate that by just getting that 120 volt power supply?
Well, two things to that. We got the 3 power packs. All it is it's just the the DC, AC adapter to the phone that plugs the phone in, and then you plug the phone in. So that the data line doesn't have to feed power to the phone. We're still gonna have to run one line over,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
We're still gonna have to do that because,
Is that a data line or a power line?
well, we're still gonna have to run a data line to the room and then power the phones up by AC instead of by the Cat 6 lines, okay? That's what we gotta get away from doing is powering the phones up by the Cat 6 line, because that's chewing up
The speed.
the speed.
Okay.
So we already got the 3 adapters. Our phone provider gave us three adapters, and then Joey will have to run one
But
more.
that's fine, and this is the only other thing that Dave Young said. We can do that, hopefully he's got one more port left on the server. And if we don't have one port left on the server, we may have to shift things around so we can use that and find that or whatever.
What kind of speed you get over there with your wireless? So is that good now?
I think it's 700, right? Or
Yeah, it's
690 to whatever.
it's good now because we upgraded that, but we're just,
Because initially, that's what made us know there was a problem, was people were complaining about the wireless. And we started looking into it, and it was like, oh, well, the wireless isn't working because this isn't working, that's not working because this isn't working. So it was a traceable problem.
And this may help Jimmy Oliver on his reports too.
Well, we already fixed him.
that he's
Good.
fixed, yeah.
He's
Now,
fixed.
let me ask one more thing here, with the copier that we're swapping out, is that copier wireless by chance?
No.
Okay. Is that what it
That's,
is?
it's not.
Because I think where that copier is anyway, we may have the necessary stuff there now.
We used to be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice building.
Anything else, Joe, you have anything else?
Oh, I got a lot of stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that's,
Good.
that part is with the generator and we're handling that. Tomorrow is another exercise for that generator that Milton made, and then after this, it'll be every other week. You know, but I'll make sure that I'm there every other week to make sure that we can get the doors, because that's another issue. But I think with the UPS, unless that one, the battery doesn't hold on that or whatever, we should be good with that.
Okay.
So,
Is every other week a sufficient enough
yeah,
testing?
because me and Bobby were talking about
Okay.
delaying this whole thing until after the machine was, you know,
As long as that's sufficient testing, you know.
I think it is, because we're around there every day of the week, and as long as the battery and the thing starts up and transfers the power like it should, we should be.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea on the testing cycle on this one. Sometimes I come in and it's running, most of the times I come in, it's not.
Milton came over here the other day, the same day you serviced us, he came over here to service you.
I have no idea how often that one fires up. I hear it some days, sometimes.
A lot of times when they do a exercise cycle, they don't even do a load transfer. We're doing a load transfer. You don't have to do a load transfer. You could do an exercise cycle without transferring the load.
It's better to transfer.
Right, transferring load just gives everything else even a little bit, but I
It
think
makes you aware if you have
If you got a
system
problem.
Right.
Good. What else you got there, sir?
So I'll just touch base a little bit on the building and the building committee. Now that this whole virus thing is getting a little bit settled and we could sit down and have a meeting. We had a few guys at the meeting for the building committee, not everyone, because me and Dave were there, the 2 chiefs and the president. Only because you know as well as I do, if you get too many is not good.
Mhm.
So we kind of walked the building and we did a bunch of stuff, and we started talking about a 15 to 20-year plan for the building over there. The renovation on the second floor would encompass, well, I'll call it the old commissioner's office. Use that as the new executive area plus the chief's office. Renovate the old chief's office a little bit so you can get 4 cubes in there for president, vice president, treasurer, secretary. They have their own bunker and they can do what they gotta do with the adequate IT stuff and all that stuff. The chief, and this is not in concrete, this is just our, our first run. The chief would go over on that other old chief's office. It's a nice big office, the chief could have that by himself. Dave's using it right now for little things that he's doing.
Instead of having the chief over on the district side?
No,
No,
the-
same
well,
size.
the stuff that holds, that whole wing over there.
It was my old
all
office.
section.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then the IT room is big enough where you can throw a couple cubes in there for the assistant chiefs if they needed to do some stuff in there. It gives them privacy over there. We can close that door off again with a fob, and nobody gets in there. And then use it again for small meetings or small training sessions or that kind of thing. And then from that wall there where the doors are, from the kitchen all the ways over, got it. Because, and Dave brought this point up, with everything that's coming up in the next years with, who knows with the virus, what you have to do for public, it might be a good time right now to renovate the kitchens and move stuff around. And just keep cleaning that whole area right out, making the meeting rooms bigger, making some storage areas, the bathrooms, upgrading them to ADA, because who knows what's gonna happen in the next 15 to 20 years. If you're gonna do a renovation, you might as well start with a clean footprint and just do it. So as we go along here and try to organize this more, I mean, we've had 2 meetings. We can certainly have one more at least with our group, and then get Ed Anchor involved, bring his people in and kind of show them a footprint, because I got a couple of scales of the old building. And we can, jot notes on there, let his people take a look at that and say, yes, this is a good idea, you can't do that. Maybe this is a good idea, maybe ADA bathrooms aren't big enough, maybe you have to expand them. I know we have chases in there for all that plumbing now, so who knows how that goes. And they may say, yeah, you can expand this, but you can't do this because of the old soil pipes or whatever, I don't know, so. That's why if we have one more meeting, get some more stuff down on paper, get those guys in there, and let them look at our footprint, say, yeah, you can do this, and this, do that, do this. And as we go ahead and do these projects, again, we do have to have the driveway and all that drainage looked at.
I thought that was on
That was on the,
the agenda for.
right, and we're into 6 years of that now, so it would be the driveway. Fire alarm is, if we got the building, we're just gonna have to cut the building for the fire alarm, because we have no CO detectors over there at all. We have no duct detectors over there at all, which is all, New York State code. Camera systems throughout the whole building, because today's day and age, as we were talking, I think you're better off having a camera system. I don't know if you guys have one here or not, but that was something that we're gonna look for. Lighting package, the sound system, the sound system for the training area and all that, as all it gets put together, we can have them, like the boards like you have in there, like some kind of a smart board television type of thing with this kind of thing, or you have that shines right in that wall of it.
Screen drops down.
Like over there, we have that screen drop down, so we could just have that all integrated in the, new space, so it's a decent training situation where people aren't trying to yell over each other. We've had, instructors over there that, just with no sound system or whatever, it's crazy, but.
Danny and I had an offline conversation about upgrading some of the technologies that relates to these systems, so we'll probably talk more about that in this meeting. Whatever we did at one station, we can do it at the other station, too, so.
And it's just, I think, and I was talking to Bobby a little bit about it. If you're gonna do something, and we kind of agreed, if you're gonna do something, you gotta look 15 to 20 years, because that's a 1980 vintage building right now. We moved in 81. And if you go 20 years or 15 to 20 years, it'll be 2041, which, I'm gonna be way too old to fight with you guys to have another renovation, so it'll be, the station will be 60 years old. We're gonna be in a situation that the freeze bill was before you guys got this, but the construction of the building should hold solid. You know, if you take care of the interior, you know, you take care of that drainage, and then you can look at some other stuff, but the water over there that comes off of that hill and stuff like that, it needs to be addressed because it can be, if it's not addressed, it can do damage, so.
We've been talking about dealing with and patching that water problem for
Right.
20 years, 20 plus years. So,
Right, and the other thing that was brought up is like the new signage and that little peninsula they built down there, that little island, you know, a while back out of the get-go, but once you guys brought some brick and they put that island in there, which looks very nice, but it shouldn't be there only because the town complained about snow plowing forever where the flagpoles are. They kept on saying, you know, it's not a good spot, we're gonna knock it over, we're gonna do this, and they tried to be careful about it. And that's probably been there, I don't know, 10 some years.
It's been at least, probably closer to 20,
Probably closer.
probably
So
closer to
it's-
20.
I mean, it's.
I was still active at the ambulance when they were doing it, because I remember being at the ambulance garage watching them work
Yeah,
on it.
Cipriani and Johnny Hanlon and
Yeah,
that guy
so-
did it, you know, I mean,
It's 20 plus
We
years.
started off with the idea that 2-block high was gonna be good.
right.
They were about 7 blocks.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's another thing, if we redo the whole configuration of the drainage and we dig up the parking lot, so maybe we can
Might have
take
to
that
fix
whole thing and spin it around the
Might have to
front
fix it.
on the concrete base wall where it's not gonna, you know, be a issue.
I think you're looking in the right direction, Joe, and your committee should be commended. I know Danny had some frustration that he had expressed to me at one point, this was back several years ago, when he tried to engage some of these discussions, and all he got back was a list of, well, we need a new paper roll, a new roll of, a new tape, roller dispenser, paper dispenser. We need paint for this, or
Well,
the door latch here is broken. No, we want to know, what are we gonna do to really take care of this for the next 20 years?
Right, I know at one point.
You're on target.
We were gonna try to clean them bathrooms up because we had public coming in there for fish dinners or something like that. And that's, gluing that back together is not the issue.
It's gotta be 20 years ago, we did the partitions in the bathroom, because remember if they were the old wood type, or wood,
Right,
they were, you know, all the partitions got redone, but that's been quite a while, so,
Right.
yeah, it's good. We're
So I
looking
mean,
at it.
you know, and I'll keep Bob in the loop, and when we get close and he can arrange a meeting with Eddie and his group, you know, I'd like Bob to be there so we can, you know, just listen to what we got going on with the other group, so we're not.
The only fear I have on it, and again, something you're gonna have to work with, is that you talked about, well, we can make the kitchen a little bit bigger, and maybe we can make the meeting room a little bit bigger, and we'd like to maybe make the bathrooms a little bit bigger you can't make all 3 bigger, because it's just
Well, I
dangerous.
mean,
So,
with that bar area, the block is to clean that right out of there.
Maybe that's
Get
the-
rid of- Get rid of walk cooler, put the kitchen over there.
that may be a
and then
solution.
Start like that, you know, what I mean, that's why when we have everything on paper and Eddie takes a look at it, he can easily say, this is the way it should go, this is the way it should go.
Good.
The cooler right now is 40 years old, so we just had to put a fan on it to, you know, put that back in service, but there's gonna be, you know, discussion before we go ahead and start.
Bill Shearer just spun twice in his grave when you said get rid of that barrel park. I mean,
Yeah, internet, so.
him and Nick both, yeah, so, I mean, they're spinning right now, so let's,
I mean-
no, you're right on target with Joe.
At
You're right.
times, you know, it took Dave and a bunch of people talking to me about getting rid of the cooler. And I was like, you know, it's a good piece of equipment, but what the whole renovation should be, and Dave is kind of on target with it. You know, you gotta go modern, and then he said, come over here someday with you guys.
Yeah, you gotta walk
and
through
see what's
see
going
the
on
layout.
there. They have.
I remember people here when we were still down there saying, the new firehouse has gotta have a walk-in cooler, and we seem to be doing quite fine without
And
it.
you know, we don't have those big crowds anymore. I
Right.
mean, if we gotta have some kind of a small stand-up bar area or something, but you know, these kids today, they'd rather go home and sit in the lazy boy and look at the computers than sit next to a human being and talk to them.
All right, great report, a lot of detail, I appreciate it.
That's what I got, so.
Nothing else?
One thing that we do have on here is that we got quotes for getting that wall repaired.
I
And
think,
we're talking the flagpole.
Right.
Oh, You-
I mean, I.
You want to go ahead with that, or do you want to tie that into
No, I
the?
think
No,
you're
I
better
think
off not.
we're gonna tie that into new stuff. I didn't even know Lackey was bringing that over here.
If it needs some immediate repair, so it either doesn't fall down on somebody or it looks decent.
When it
We should
looks
look
like
at that,
they-
but
it looks like they plowed into it a few times and it's starting to thrash the block. I don't think it's gonna fall down.
Right,
No, you guys had asked me to get a
Right.
quote last year,
Right.
but we couldn't really get a quote because of the winter. So High Tech got us the quote. It's not unsafe.
Okay.
Of course, what he was proposing is the right way to reconstruct it, but as Joey said, it may not be the best thing to do right now.
at this point.
Wait until you address the drainage in the parking lot.
It's just drainage, and we'll get the town highway superintendent involved, because
Correct.
he does the plowing for us, and we want to stay on that good side, so.
Right,
But I put it on here because
Yeah.
I just received it.
It's actually good because we
Yeah.
kind of forgot all about it.
Right.
Thank you.
and it's just, as we do this, there's, I think if you use that footprint of that building, and you don't, and this is only my opinion, I know Dave's got some other opinions, but if you use that footprint without disturbing any of the outside walls, without trying to push stuff out and interrupt the drainage and ground system that's there now, you're better off. I mean, that's only my opinion, but,
I don't know how we could put, I know when we did the addition, we looked at that, and the commissioner's office, that smaller meeting room, I know we looked at it then, and we said we absolutely couldn't do anything more in footprint, because we were at bare minimum for parking as it was.
Right.
So anything you expand out, it takes away more parking.
Right.
And the only alternative is to cut into that hill, and now you're talking, you might as well build a cliff wall and, spend.
And we had a lot of problems when we first went in there with drainage off that hill, because a lot of wood comes off that hill, so.
Yep.
So anyways, that's me. If you have any questions,
Great.
go to Dave, go to me, whatever, and we'll have another meeting with our people. And then shortly, we'll get together with Ed, so he can kind of walk through it. So
Beautiful. Thank you, Joe.
that's what I have.
Dan, welcome. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll take it.
Yep.
We are right at president's report. If you want to take over.
I don't see anybody from either department here. What's that?
Eric's on his way down.
All right, so we'll get back to that.
The others may be zooming in about.
Is anybody online from?
This was gonna be an
Oh, all right, there was no
in-person.
Zoom connection?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just,
I get the meeting announcements for this and the zoning board and the planning board all around the same time. So I can't remember who's doing what.
So we'll get back to both the presidents. Approval of the prior month's minutes. Questions, corrections, deletions.
No, I looked at them in the Dropbox. They were good.
Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Treasurer's report.
Okay, y'all have a copy of the report in your Dropbox. The town has a reconciled balance of $19.03 and 4 cents for interest for the month, $2.89 here today. Money market account has a reconciled balance of $2,262,897.17. Of that amount, $693,541.77 is earmarked for the general fund. $1,304,970.86 is for capital reserve equipment. $212,183.96 capital reserve building. $52,200.58 for capital reserve repairs. We marked for $18.78.
Thank you,
Vouchers for the month, $63.98 here to date. And then the subsequent documentation is copies of the bank reconciliations, which have been passed down to Nick, that's review and sign off on. So I have the bank reconciliations as well as copies of the bank statements in here for you. As well as a list of all authorized payments and checks that were made in the month of April. General fund checking account, and then a capital, actual to budget report, how much has actually been incurred so far this year, and how much we still have left. From our budget, so we're still under budget by over $400,000. That's the treasurer's report.
Sean, this is just out of curiosity, not questioning it, but I know I never noticed this before, maybe it's everyone. We have like a check mark, okay, and then it looks like your initials, then BR and BS, balance record.
Bank reconciliation, bank statement.
That's all, okay.
Just so like you can see where it ties out with the bank statement.
Yeah, I never, it's probably been there for 15 years and I never noticed it. Is that it? You just-
Usually our copy doesn't have.
Oh, okay, I mean,
I've never noticed it before.
Yeah.
All right,
Because we're not together. we-
entertain a resolution to accept the treasurer's report.
So resolved.
Rich, I'll second it. Roll call.
Nick?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye. Carries. Approval of the current month's invoices.
Total amount of invoices, $31,290.09.
Somebody have a chance to look?
Yeah, I went through them, and there's nothing out of the ordinary, really.
Right.
I'm gonna abstain from at least, one of them's mine, and one of them's Dave's, so see, I hate this,
Why don't we pull out, where's the names?
then I got them separate.
Yeah, we'll act on those separately. So entertain a resolution, with all of the invoices with the exception of the payment to commissioners, French and Wilson. Made by Brian, second by Nick. Roll call.
Nick?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Resolution carries. Entertain a resolution to approve the invoices for commissioners French and Wilson. Made by Nick,
Second.
seconded by Brian. Roll call.
Nick?
Aye.
Rich?
Abstain.
Dan?
Aye.
Aye.
Right. Correspondence, Bob.
We received KeyBank FDIC insurance assets ending in 3/31 and 4/30/2021. Received Hannigan Law Firm client advisory on 4/19 regarding the marijuana use. Volunteer Fire Service, Bolton. We received Wynskill Fire Department's fund drive letter request. They're looking for approval from the board on what they'll use this year. It's in Dropbox and it's also in Wynskill President Report. The Association of Fire District Affairs, the April, May Bolton. And the correspondence that we received for candidates that were running for the second vice president of the Association Fire Districts. We received the Rensselaer County IDA Fire District Grants Program that I forwarded to Sean, and I put it in Dropbox. This is regarding COVID-19, and that's it. Yeah, it's in yours.
It's in mine, but it's correspondence.
Yeah, I just got something in today's mail also. I'll add it. It's from Suffolk regarding the final invoices for the two new engines. It is in Dropbox right now under special committees, but I'll also add it to the correspondence.
Yeah. Any other questions for Bob regarding the correspondence?
Right.
All right. Go back to president's reports, DFT, Eric.
So.
Nothing to report.
All right. Good. Old business, we don't have anything on the agenda, but anybody have anything?
Here's something.
New business, you just discussed the retaining wall, correct?
Yeah, I think that, just in the course of the discussion, we came up with a solution for that, is that the retaining wall is at the bottom of the receiving end of all that water. And we gotta fix the problem at the top or near the top and work our way down. And certainly we gotta take a look at that and what we're gonna do with it, but if it's not in any imminent danger of falling, collapsing for anybody, or, just looking like crap, then I think we ought to let it.
But I think the only thing we probably need to do a couple winter time again is to stake it off better. Okay. So they don't whack the
right, the next item, Mark Lasavita spoke to me about Thursday evening. The county wants to use the meeting room here for dispatcher training. I told him I didn't anticipate an issue with it, but we follow the normal process, so that request is in Dropbox. It would be, the specific date would be June or July. They don't have the exact date yet, from 9 to 4, about 20 people. Paul Glasser would be in charge of the event. Mark Lasavita would be the member accepting responsibility. I don't have any questions or concerns. We'll just have to follow whatever COVID procedures we have to have in place in June or July. Any issues with?
I think we treat them as members, and, whatever, if they're vaccinated, they can follow our procedure. If they're not vaccinated, they can follow our procedure.
But any issues with using the building? So Bob, as far as the specific date,
Mhm.
I think they can coordinate that through you, and then maybe you could just, between Eric and the
Yeah.
chief,
Yeah.
make
I'll
sure
send
that
it
there's
out.
nothing going on that.
Sure.
And obviously us to. 9 to 4, I don't think there's gonna be a whole lot going on.
Mark actually said it's probably only gonna be like 4 hours or so.
Entertain a motion to approve the building use request. To the county, made by Rich, second by Nick, all those in favor?
Aye.
WFD Chiefs report.
New WFT.
William's hosting, so we call on you first to be calling.
Let's see, I don't have too much. It's that time of year, we'll be scheduling our physicals again for all the members. Trying to get that scheduled for June. The group drill with the free throw has been moved up a week. It'll be this Tuesday at 7 p.m. over here. I believe they're gonna be going over the new nozzle. Stuff that was just recently purchased, so that's the game plan. The hose dryer, the old gear hose dryer we had over at WFT has been moved out, taken out and moved over. So we're just waiting for, delivery on the new one and we can get it installed. I need authorization to go ahead and proceed with having the VHF radios and all the apparatus, both on line field and free skill, having programmed so we're all on the same channels. So we need your approval to go ahead and schedule that. I think the quote was like $350. I think we got it last month. As I said, we could go ahead, I'll take it out and move forward on that. MES will be coming in June, they can do the SCBA flow test. All the Scott back, so hopefully we get that and change all the batteries this time when they come through as well, so we don't have any more issues with it. One of the last things I have is that our membership at our meeting last Tuesday passed recently. We've the new apparatus has been we've dedicated in memory of somebody that was instrumental in the purchase of it, things like that. We did it with Tommy Royer, we did it with Larry Maskell. Our choice for dedication, be dedicated to 427 was past chief John Baum. When the new apparatus came in through 426, and the rest of the 42 committee, he was instrumental in all the training and everything done on it. And we just felt that he was involved with so much with training and education that very good candidate for this honor. So just want to make you aware that that's what our game plan is. To be dedicated to memory.
Is the department going to buy a placard, or they want?
Yeah,
Is the district going to, or I don't know who did it in the past of yours.
I'll take and sit down with Adam. a little bit more accurate.
You know,
I know.
again, I think it's something probably the Freesel would want to do too on theirs. And again, if we keep it as consistent as possible,
Sure.
we can pick out,
I mean, this is something we did with.
we can pick out a size and a font, you know, get them very similar.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they did one inside the cab, I think, for the squad.
Right, we did. We did one for the squad, which was for Larry. and
In the cab?
Utility truck was for Tommy Boyd.
Freesel's always done them right on the side of the truck, the dedication. So Liam, if you want to coordinate that,
Yeah, I got it.
okay.
It's down on my list, actually. I think like the template, whatever you guys come up with, I think share with the. We'll go over with it. I'm sure we'll come.
You can get something, you know, if you do, at this late in time, if you did something in bronze, it probably won't be here for a while. It's gonna take a few months to get it in. Just if you do something as an engraved plate, you can get that done over in that place in Cahoes there, I get the name of it. But that won't hold up as longer as well, so, you know, we can talk about it offline afterwards. But either way, we'll have to do either, get either.
Sure.
Is there pictures of the commissioners gonna be on these trucks at all?
There's a spot in the glove box for you.
Is there, we're gonna put one in the,
So that,
one in the
that way there you won't be out there.
When you open that flap to check the oil, that's
on the dipstick.
Our CPR classes, we finally got it scheduled to be the 18th to the 25th of May. What we're gonna do is we originally scheduled to have the trucks clean like we normally would for Memorial Day. So we're breaking it in half. People that aren't going to CPR the first night, they'll do a couple of trucks that night. Make sure we get food for them. And then the following week, we'll do the flip flop for everybody. So get that done. That needs to be taken care of. Shawnee, I just got a couple of people. I'll take and talk to you later on. I got some keys. We got 2 keys and then one key's got to have access to it. That's all I got.
Anything on the truck 42 response with the repair that's gotta be done? Did you change that response?
It's just, it's strictly for fire emergencies only.
Okay.
Fire emergencies only. We checked the numbers. We really don't. I think we've only been using those once this year and I think 6 times for both of them.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the mutual aid thing,
But so
which is
our normal response would be the same. It's just the truck's not gonna be going out right away unless it's confirmed structure fire.
well, it's also the issue of even drills, putting the stick up.
Right. Well, I told the guys we can still use it for drill. Aerial is out of service. Aerial cannot be used.
Right.
So
Use ground ladder.
That's what I was talking about.
Ground ladders, equipment.
Ladder training,
Yep. Absolutely.
ladder, ground ladders, everything like that. It's all fine.
Until we can get
The
that
aerial
swivel.
is the only thing that's not being used. Except for one.
Get that swivel.
Okay.
Anything else, Mark?
And the other last thing is, this Friday, we'll be doing the benefit dinner for Buddy down in American Legion from 4 to 8. Should be $10 a person. I don't know if anybody's interested in playing cornhole, but someone in the district took and built it. It cost them like $280 to take and build a cornhole set, and he's donated it. It lights up. It's got a place for your beer, your drink, or anything like that. It's got a magnet. Keep track on it. Guy really did a nice job. It's got lights on it.
Raffle that off.
Yeah, they're raffling it off. $10 a ticket. They're raffling it off.
The raffle on that, they got some door prizes, they got.
Yeah, they're-
Quite an array.
Yeah, they got a whole bunch of things.
I think you gotta call in for your dinner though, right?
Yeah, I just seen a text from Donna Clark. She says that dinners are going fast. Last I knew, they had 180 dinners that they could serve.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many are going yet. But like I said, if anybody's interested, get a hold of John Hamlin or Lonnie Banker or Don Clark.
Is that, and if it already went out, I missed it, I apologize there. Did we send anything out to the membership on that?
It's going on momentarily, this stuff was on the bottom myself earlier.
All right. Some of us still don't have Facebook, so I miss out on stuff. Thank you. William? DFT chief's report?
I submitted the fire reports to you guys, and like, Mark brought up also for dedications for apparatus. DeFreesville was looking for doing 9/7 for, in memory of, Robert Albert, which also known as Chooch. I think it says a lot that, you can speak with somebody right now in John Obama when they're 5 years gone, and you can still say their name and have very good memories, and a lot of people still talk about them. So there are other people that we've kind of planned out also. For future apparatus when they can come along, but Chief's just the one that we want to honor with that. Sister. So we're looking, it was brought up in the operations meeting. Myself and Chief Mason are looking for iPads for both the rescue trucks. The basic reason behind this, and I'm still looking into apps and things like that we can utilize. The main thing is for car accidents. With all these new electric vehicles out there, you cut the wrong spot, you can kill somebody very easily. And that's the reason why we're kind of pushing it on the rescues, because we don't want to come across an electric vehicle. There's, what is it, 3% or something out on the road nowadays, but now what the government's pushing is electric vehicles now, and we don't want to get kind of caught in the middle of something, get somebody hurt just for.
So what, I'm not questioning the need, but if you don't know what apps and stuff
Yeah,
you're using.
There's several different brands out there, and we just kind of want to find one that's very compatible, that's easy to operate. Like right now, there's a free one that I have on this. It's nice, but I'll just say it's clunky. Like it's not very user friendly. Like it's difficult to find things. So we're just trying to make sure that we do our homework right, make sure that we find the correct software.
So my suggestion would be, you kind of do the homework first.
Yeah.
Like what app you're gonna use and everything, and then we do it all at once, because if we don't have all that, the initial cost of the iPad really isn't significant, but it's another $40 a month for cell phone service. So if we don't really even know what we're gonna be using on it yet, I think we should wait.
No, I just kind of wanted to make you guys aware that this is kind of come down to shoot it towards you guys, and that this is something that we kind of really want to look at, because obviously there's a massive safety concern with electric vehicles.
Right.
I think Rich even said Jeff Belschwinger's drill the one night was very informative. Electric vehicles.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, in the meantime, until you have that set, I mean, we do provide every chief with a cell phone, so you do have the ability to look up information, but my suggestion would be figure out actually how you're gonna use them, just so we don't have these sitting around paying a monthly bill. We don't really have the app and everything. So, anybody disagree?
One of the questions that was given, they were using the iPad, looking at stuff going to an alarm.
Yeah.
And they were having problems with the Wi-Fi kicking in.
Yeah.
And after talking to Commissioner here, we can switch it. So it's strictly no Wi-Fi, it's strictly a hotspot on the phone for the Chiefs cars. And I'd be curious to make sure that works proper for us.
Yeah.
Because I ended up talking to Dan Jr., said he was going down the street, and all of a sudden a Wi-Fi spot would jump in, it would take it over, and you'd lose your spot. And as soon as you're out of range again, driving by, fall back out. So it's going back and forth on and off all the time. So I think it's just a setting control.
Same issue happens when pulling the station.
Basically, the iPad's set on Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
and you hook up to, it's not on Wi-Fi yet, you're hooked up to the Bluetooth, the hotspot on your phone. It's gonna look for the stronger signal, so if you got your Wi-Fi on, it's gonna try to drag in a Wi-Fi signal over the hotspot.
That's just a setting, I think.
Right, that's right. Well, they didn't know.
No.
So I think that's part of the, and then if we're doing it with the new engine, it's gonna have something in it. So how are we gonna do that? if we
Well,
don't
this
have-
is the thing, this is why I think we really gotta know, because you're talking two different things. So like Dan Jr. being a chief, he has a department issued, district issued cell phone, so we pay his hotspot, we pay everything, so we just need a Wi-Fi enabled iPad. In this case, you're talking about buying an iPad that has cellular service built in, so it's like adding another basically cell phone. If that's a cost of business, it's a cost of business.
Because there won't be a hotspot for these to connect to.
Well, I understand it, but
You never know.
I don't remember how I had the combination phone in hotspot or phone in on my iPad. So
Right.
it had its own number. But I don't think it was that much more expensive to add it to our system.
It's like the concept of cell phone, doesn't, we've had it, so.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, no, so the, originally, you know, we had purchased Ray and Jimmy Burton.
Yeah.
iPads, and we got, well, we bought the commissioner's iPads, but the two chiefs, we did buy the cellular ones. So it was just like, you pay the same cell phone bill as you would.
I know for sure.
Yeah, and then we just disconnected it, the cell service, because you could see the data usage, it just wasn't getting. You know, they're usually in an area where there's Wi-Fi. But on a piece of apparatus,
You're kind of stuck.
you kind of, you don't know who's got a hotspot, who doesn't, you want to go connect it where, you know, a chief, you know, it's their iPad and their phone, so. Right. I just think we should just actually figure out what you need and just do it right.
Yeah, no, that's what we're trying to look into. I just kind of want to make you guys aware, maybe that's something, this kind of.
And then there's also like Chrome tab, you know, if there's something out there more suitable towards Android based, there's Chrome tablets, there's, you know.
And I would say even screen size and stuff like that to make sure that you can, in the middle of a cab, you can actually see what you're looking at. If you're looking at details of a car or whatever.
Right.
You know, you may want something with a bigger screen or something, I don't know.
So,
When you said also find the apps, because some apps is just a downloadable database where you don't need necessarily to have Wi-Fi to run it.
So you have it
Right.
right there with all the
Yeah,
data
if
there.
you download the information to the iPad, then it's always there.
Right,
and that would really
That'd
be
be
better,
better,
because then you're not incurring
so,
the self-bill every single,
So
you can just update it periodically.
But it comes down to find out what apps you.
But then if you're out
actually
of the,
work.
if you're out of the vehicle, you don't have the data that's available to you through I am a fine responding.
Right.
And any of that,
Right.
any of that.
Right, no, absolutely. I just addressing what he's put in the report was,
But I
Yeah.
mean, most people
you can get that.
have, you know what I mean? All right, anything else, William?
just a couple more things. We had the Chiefs meeting a couple weeks ago. We have a few more purchases coming down the line. Most likely gear will be coming up in the next month or two, just or 4 sets of gear, or 5 sets, whatever we need, just to kind of keep ourselves in that cycle. Joint drills are going great. There's, I wouldn't say, it's not a massive learning curve, but it's just a little things here and there that we're picking up on with each other. Apparatus maintenance is coming up for our apparatus on this side, and just to advise you, Wrestler City put something out to us for their parade. I plan on having our apparatus go down, maybe 1 or 2, and just the guys will be in the cab and drive down the road and wave out the window and
I neighbor,
how you doing and leave. So obviously North Greenwich isn't doing theirs this year, but they're doing a little bit more modified, a little bit more than what they did last year. So hopefully we're getting a little bit back into the normal swing of things. So
anything on the, that valve that we were discussing between the two departments on the trucks, the hydrant valve?
A couple of weeks ago, we went out and we worked with the valves that we have. And, you know, the guys from Freesville were working with them.
I mean, I'm just curious because that was
We haven't got,
something we were looking at.
we haven't
Yeah,
got,
I
I got a lot
personally-
of feedback from it, but like I said, we haven't sat down and let's talk together.
it wasn't really a big, I'll say this, it wasn't really a big push on our end, just for the moment, because we kind of want to just get everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're not worried about it right
There,
now.
each engine will have a hydrant valve for the LDH. They're completely different, they operate different, they, in the end, their function is different. Because one is designed that you can continue to operate and add pressure without shutting down the other hydrant. The other one requires shutting down the hydrant reconfigured. At some point, we may want to, you know, as we coordinate the operation and we look at operational stuff and say, look, we need to operate the same. We may want a new valve for the Wenisville engine, and that's the one that's practically brand new going under the Freesville engine. That valve is what, less than a year and a half old.
A year or 2 old, but not,
So
but like I said, it wasn't really big push on our end, just.
Okay, so I was just trying to see,
It's an expensive,
There wasn't any negative feedback about it.
it's an expensive piece of equipment, and we want to make sure that, you know, it's needed.
no, I
It was
agree.
$3,000 when we bought that.
Yeah.
Yeah. it's-
Have you used it?
We use it as a gate. We haven't been in the areas, obviously, when you go up on the hills, you have to use the system, which we haven't been up there for anything.
I think we use.
The whole idea of it is allows, first engine in to lay and supply themselves with water from the hydrant. And then however long it takes a second engine to get there, they can pick up that supply and not have to shut down the hydrant to make a configuration change. So if the second engine is, 5-6 minutes out for whatever reason, they can rapidly boost the supply without having to shut down.
Yeah, but most of the problem you have is the boosting is there's no water in the hydrant.
You can't fix that with a valve.
We usually call Larry.
Can't fix that by calling Larry.
But that's it for my report.
Thank you.
Thank you, William. Standing committees, apparatus needs, Richard Dave.
You doing anything with that, Brad? I don't know. You probably ought to. No, seriously. Final inspection scheduled for the 19th. I've got a pretty good idea of exactly who's going, I've got a pretty good idea of who's going down, not exactly who's going down. Still waiting to hear from a couple people. We got one that's getting off duty at 8 o'clock that morning. I gotta figure out a way to figure out how we're gonna accommodate that because they want to get started by 8 or shortly after 8 at the factory. They're telling me it takes 3.5 hours to go through one of these trucks as thoroughly as they do on the final inspection. So we're gonna do one, break for lunch, and then do the other. So it's gonna be a full day of work down there at the factory. It's not gonna be good. No, not gonna be like the last 2 trips. We're just down there looking around a little bit, getting some ideas. Not that the last 2 trips were, especially, not that either of the last 2 trips were superfluous trips. I mean, we did a lot of work on that, but this is gonna be very detailed going through the specification. The good news is that Phil is taking down 2 mechanics, one assigned to each truck. And they're gonna do the same thing that we're gonna do on Wednesday. They're gonna do it Monday and Tuesday. All right, to make sure that they haven't missed anything. So anything that, if they catch something, they'll have a chance to fix it, make it better before we get down there on Wednesday. So it's looking real positive on that.
Rich, on that, not telling you anything you don't know because you've been through this more than I have, but I just remember when I went down to Ocala, Florida with 9-6, it really paid to have all our minutes with us, email correspondence,
I've got a little emails.
send and receive, because, we did find things and it got a little heated there for a bit. It all worked out in the end, but luckily I had good,
I can't believe that, but Larry.
luckily I had good documentation.
I think we're in good shape. The fact that we've done 2 inspections or did one progress inspection, and we literally found nothing. We found a couple of minor things, and they weren't mistakes as much as they were, gee, we didn't think of that. Can we do this a little differently? And in one case, we inspected the handrail and they hadn't mounted it because the way this is written, if we mounted it exactly the way this is written, it's not going to be very functional. But maybe that's not what they meant. So they just held the handrail aside and said, where do you want this? And we worked with them and yep, right there would be good. That's not where we had originally talked about. So they did it exactly. I did notice one thing is wrong on one of the trucks with regard to lettering and striping. I'll be talking to the chief afterwards to see if or what we want to do with it. But it's the kind of thing that 100 people have looked at the pictures online. A whole bunch of people looked at the drawings and the specifications for that stuff when it was, everybody's on their phone now trying to figure out what's wrong with the truck, right? When it was before any of it was even done. And it's something even with the trucks online, I don't even know how I happened to catch it. I don't even know how I happened to say, gee, that shouldn't be that way. And so I'll be talking to Liam about it a little afterwards. I don't know that it's a big deal at all. So
Well, tell us, what is it?
it's all right. Somehow we missed it. The defreezed fill on the door is supposed to be defreezed fill, not defreezed fill. And it's defreezed fill, not defreezed fill. It's arched. It's arched. Same size letters, same.
I think they did that just to keep them the same.
Maybe, I don't know, but it doesn't look bad at all. The emblem
As
looks
long as
good
they
in
don't
there.
spell it wrong.
Take a look at it.
I thought it was the way that we initially designed it.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I thought that was the way we initially designed it anyway.
I don't know.
I didn't say anything, so.
I don't know. So I'm not making.
It's just spelled right.
It's spelled right. That's the main thing.
It's the first thing I look at now all the time.
with regard to the apparatus, I sent the specifications, I don't still want the pictures. I sent the specifications to the one company that, a broker, that was suggested previously. Also met another broker, not the one that, wanted to buy me lunch, promised me he's gonna get us $1 million each from a couple of years ago. Geez, we had a different broker, met him at the, conference this weekend, one of the vendors that was staffed. Dave and I gave him a little bit of information. He was supposed to get back to me. I told him we had a commissioner meeting tonight. My phone did once ring once today from a Long Island number. When I dialed it back, nobody answered. I don't know if it was him or somebody telling me my car warranty was expired. So I don't know. Probably the car warranty. I will follow up with him as well. But any of these vendors that I talked to, they're not a lot of money to use fire apparatus right now. So we'll see where that goes. So,
All right.
This is questions.
The only thing else I had was, I know they started looking at the ice rescue stuff for the drill they had. They may be looking at, I don't even know what it's called, that banana.
It's a sled boat.
Sled boat. And it's an ice water
It's
rescue.
like $5 grand.
that They're starting to look
$5
at.
grand purchase.
You know, that's not the open water idea, but it's certainly something that they seem to like when they were doing their Post Hill and Debris Hill and Naval Park, so that may be coming up.
Building and grounds, Dave and Brian.
Well, Joey covered most of the building stuff. And we haven't any issues here, right?
Door number 3, there was some issues. It opening back up, not closing, basically. Looks like it was repaired. See an invoice. It's in the pile today.
They're gonna hold the invoice until they,
I've been watching that sidewalk slab that's right back down, just about flush right now where it should be. So it was definitely a frosty thing. So.
The work that they did when they hide receipt and stuff like that, I didn't see if that was catching yet up by the old dumpster, by the dumpster pad. The striping that they redid when they kind of made it too big, they put a black sealer over the old yellow striping that's kind of washing away now. So I don't know if there's something that we can put on top of it. The other thing I had, and I've talked with Bob about a little bit, is we're looking at the idea of maybe trying to find a handyman that we can have on call for some of these jobs that we're not getting done. We're kind of like blowing them off and you know, hoping somebody else does it, or Bob fixes it, or somebody else fixes it. Or like, for example, the duct work or the heater tube going out in the middle of the bay at the wine scope. You know, the thing's full of bird nests and stuff like that and crap. And, you know, I don't know if we want our guys to climb the ladders on Tuesday night, start digging it out, put it back half-ass or something, but we ought to have somebody that we can call and say, hey, look, this needs to be fixed, or that needs to be fixed. I think we're at that point between 2 stations that maybe we have somebody that we can line up and say, this is our go-to guy.
We've been very dependent here on
Everybody else.
PJ and Tim O'Connor.
Right.
And for certainly PJ being out, that's been quite a hit. Tim still does the stuff that he's capable of doing. Right. You know, I know Bob had talked to one of the guys about putting together those cages up in the loft that was a project PJ was going to take on. And with his health, I don't know if he's ever going to be able to take it on. But, you know, and he
Well, I
shouldn't
just
have to.
think, what about, we used to have Ronnie do that kind of stuff. Does he still have a little
yeah,
side business or?
no,
I think we ought to.
Did you have any luck with Josh on the cage?
he is gonna give us an estimate. He just hasn't had time to do it
Yeah,
yet.
he's been busy as hell too, so, but I mean, you're right. We
Marty does that stuff on the side. I don't know if you want to get Marty Stewart's.
Really?
Well, if we can find somebody, it might be a good resource to have. Because, you know, a lot of the stuff doesn't get done and little weird stuff and, you know. And this way here, we don't have to try to get one of our guys to try to fix it and get upset if he doesn't fix it right. You know, because we've glued together so much stuff at Waynesville because it just seemed like the right thing to do.
Well, you know, you're absolutely right. And we wind up with these little jobs. And it's like, well, I'll take care of that. I'll take care of that. And it certainly it becomes almost an expectation that guy's going to take care of it. The wiring that PJ did here with all those new lights, I mean, it was extraordinary. I mean, he went through and put up a whole bunch of fixtures that, you know, I mean, we would have paid, the district would have paid, I don't know how much money to have that done. He TJ did it on his own. So
I just think that we need to have something that we can lean on, so maybe we can start looking into finding someone that we can use that could, no different than having a plumber or anybody else, you know?
All right, well, Bob can have a look at the people. All right, district personnel, Brian and I don't have anything, Brian.
I know.
All right, finance, insurance, me and Nick, and we'll call on Sean too. I think Nick.
Budget time's coming up pretty soon, so if you have any purchases you want to make for next year, let me know. I can move it down.
So usually it's like August that you kind of give.
Yeah, start working on
This year, it'll be Nick and I, the little subcommittee.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we kind of go from
Yep.
going there, but we got time. LoSAP, Nick, Brian, and the chiefs and the presidents.
Letters were sent out to those people. I got the addresses and so forth of the residents of the chief, and, so they were sent out. Those firefighters who missed their LoSAP points.
Ed Houlihan grabbed me at the district show and said something, you wouldn't stand there when he did. And I said something about the fact that he needs to get back together with us and get us pumped up again. I don't know what involvement he
He
had.
implied that the retirement would go to 700 now or something,
1,200. Yeah, it's at
1,200.
But what involvement is he? We were using him as an agent or anything.
Yeah, Penflex was for the enhancement for which we already had 30 years in.
Post entitlement.
Oh, the post entitlement, okay.
So is he still involved in that?
Oh, from 700 to
What's that?
He still is companies. I understand it. He's on.
Yeah, he's got a couple year commitment too.
He's still working with them.
Yeah.
So he grabbed me, one of the vendors that was there. So I'm gonna sit down with you guys. I said, well, we're gonna meet one day. I'll let you know the LoSAP guys.
Yeah, I told him it's over to you, so. Oh, so it's the after 30,
Correct.
from 700 to 1,200.
Yeah, they
That's-
changed the law just last year.
I couldn't figure out what he was.
Yes. You guys have to bring up the 1,200?
No,
Or you-
no.
Anywhere between 7 and 1,200.
We're not even at 700.
We are at 700.
Yeah, it's not what you would get monthly. It's after you do 30 years, and you get a lump sum.
All right, special committees, business operations and technology. William, those iPads or whatever we're gonna be looking at, why don't you get that to us, that we kind of fall under that, then we'll go from there. Nick, do you got anything? No. Eric, Bob had took it upon himself, which I'm glad he did, thank you, to let you know what addresses everything get forwarded to. Is that something, if it's not working on their end or they can't access it, I mean, I don't want to be paying for stuff that, or have the fire company pay for stuff that's not gonna get.
Yeah, one of the things going back years, about when the district took over our stuff, is it's limits us as a company and manipulation, they always have to go back to the district or the IT guys to do stuff, they have no control over their own. But, you know, that you guys are solving a need too, so it's just a matter of us.
I don't really quite understand the whole thing, Bob, can you talk about it? I don't.
Prior to.
Let me just give a little background on
Yeah.
it. So, you know how we have like the commissioner's address, like your chiefs at NGFD, commissioners at NGFD. So where we got president at WFD, we have all of these positions at DFD, plus we have executive committee at DFD. But you send it, quite often you don't hear a response back, but I guess the emails aren't making them to the majority of the people. And I know the fire company's paying for something, I just don't want people paying for something if it doesn't work. So I don't understand the whole thing, if you wanna.
Prior to the district going to App River, which is the hosting company that Eclipse uses, the district hosted their own computer for the email, so you had your network. And then the board made the decision, no, we don't want to invest, $7,000 to $10,000 into a new computer and the software, et cetera, so that you would just go with a hosting company, which is App River. That's when both fire companies said that they would join on, use their domains, Weinskill Fire and DeFreeseville Fire. And that would get included in with the contract with Eclipse to kind of manage that. The only thing that Eclipse would not do is forward emails to personal email addresses. And so that would require somebody, if they're using a phone or using a tablet, that they would have to obviously put that email address on your phone or put that email address on your tablet. Now, I know that I did send out some information a short time ago that, you know, one of the problems that some people have is if they have a phone and they don't want to use their Outlook on their phone, you can download the Outlook app. That's something new, okay, that you can just specifically then load on that email, the fire department domain email, no different than you can as well as the fire district. It's like $6.95 a mailbox that the district pays for, the 5 commissioners, the staff, and the fire companies pay $6.95 each mailbox per month for president, vice president, treasurer, membership secretary, etc. Sean works up a bill once a year. He sends it out to the treasurers. He works up what the like the maintenance cost of that is as well. So yes, by all means, if the fire companies don't want to use that service, they don't have to use that service. And if they want us to communicate differently to them, they can. But my recommendation to the board would be it's all or nothing. Like it, you know, if the fire company wants to go off and do their own thing with their emails, which they could do that, they could do that. This is just a service that the district extended to the 2 companies when you decided that we weren't going to host our own server for emails anymore, because it doesn't pay the fire district to host a server. It's too much money, the software, everything else. So yeah, there are maybe some complications or some hurdles that individual people have with whatever type of device they have, because maybe it's a company issued device and maybe it's not their own personal phone and they're restricted as to what they can put on there. I could see that could be a problem, but I think the way around that now is some of the apps that you can load onto your phone, and then you can get the email through that app, and App River does allow that to happen. So I would, you know, maybe the board should poll the 2 fire companies first to say, are you happy with this agreement? Do you not want to do this agreement? And if you don't want this, then, you know, obviously you'll have to come up with your own way of hosting your emails in your domain. I mean, we just pass the cost over to them. Is that correct, Sean?
So I guess if you could speak up, I guess reach out to the fire company presidents, find out, do they want to keep with this?
Okay.
And if not, just give us the addresses that you want us to send communication to, just because, I mean, there's communication constantly between the
Correct.
district and the companies, and it's kind of key that we know that it's making it in the right hands.
Yeah, and I don't think the board or the staff here, we don't care who we send it to,
Right.
you know, what address we send it to, but in
Just wanna make sure it
fairness,
lands in somebody's hands.
but in fairness, we can't keep track of everybody's emails all the time. I mean, that's just impossible for us to do. But if they don't want to incur that $6.95 a mailbox for people that really aren't utilizing it, well, yeah, maybe they should. I mean, that's a
Right, it
decision.
doesn't matter to me, I just,
Right.
you said, like, you had mentioned you had sent something, you didn't get an acknowledgement, maybe they didn't get it, but you don't know what you don't know, so you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know who got it. I don't know who got it. I thought I had sent it to everybody's individual personal email addresses. And I still didn't get an acknowledgement on it, so maybe it's just something they want to deal with.
I will poll both the, departments.
Just on that topic too, I don't personally feel like as much emails I get a day. I'm not gonna acknowledge every email anybody sends me, so there's that too.
No, but usually if somebody's sending the 3rd email, can somebody please let me know you received this? That might be something you want to acknowledge. All right, but we also don't want you paying for something if you're not gonna use it, you know?
Just as an FYI, our computer that we purchased on the last round of purchases the district made, we take back, our privatized, so we're supposed to return that as we speak. So, take it already.
Development plan review, Brian, Nick, and the Chiefs.
There was a couple of plans that were dropped off in my box, but apparently were already approved, so didn't really have any review, feedback to give. 148 North Commission Road, the old Rensselaer ARC has been bought and it's going to turn into some business office type space. I did give Chief Mason a copy of the new hardware store I was going where the bowling alley was. That was approved, however, it seemed like they added a 4x12 pad with a 500-gallon propane filling station kind of on the property line almost. So there's some issues with that we have concerns about. So try to get feedback. When's the meeting tomorrow?
I have a meeting tomorrow with the planning board down there.
It's not
the
for the
company,
planning board, so.
but everything was approved except for that part.
Okay. So we probably might want to
So
get,
they would have to reapply for the 500-pound.
okay.
But if you guys are definitely against it,
We got time to get a letter to you guys.
Yeah.
Official, correspondence. That's not a good place anywhere, not back inside of the bowling alley. We did get a cursory thing, reached over, added to the list, so I forwarded to the commissioners and chiefs. The Quackenbury Commons, that's a development that's kind of behind CVS, between CVS and Home Depot going down in there. They weren't looking for like real site plan comments yet, as there's no site plan, it was more of a PowerPoint, just showing their concept, and they just want to get an idea of some things that they might be able to engineer or get out in front of before they start going to the site plan to address. I believe I covered everybody on response. No acknowledgement from them, but try to get out in front of it, and I did put the caveat on there. We do want to see site plans, because just from a PowerPoint, that doesn't really show you anything on that level. I don't probably miss $20 because obviously, he's dealing with Route 4. That project obviously is going right along. Another urgent care coming up in the town, down the other end down here, which is starting to tax emergency services as a whole, most mainly the ambulance, but that's obviously a separate topic. I don't know if you got any other, I know there's apartments down the road for Wyanskill side.
Yeah, I seen it. I don't know if you're approved or not, but you just see the rumors on Facebook. I think a couple single family homes on 150.
Yeah, there's about 50 single families and another 48 apartments across from the fire tower. And this is going to the town board to approve yet. It hasn't, because they need I can't think of the term, that's subdivision. PDD approval, that goes through the town board. And then they also have 96 or 98 apartments down in Worthington's Field, the one that's empty. All that's not in our hands, but they went to the town board. I came over Italy the other day from Snyder's Lake towards Wyanskill, and I noticed that development down below Joe's house coming into Wyanskill on the left. They're cut in there and they seem to be operating pretty good now. I don't remember exactly what's going to be built back there. I think there's a bunch of houses, 24 to 28 single family, bunch of houses, but it looked like they were over along there too. So talked to Mike Miner today. That smaller subdivision, I guess it's 16, 17 homes off of Bowling Grove in the area of the manor. That one just came in for additional permits. They're doing those houses more of the time. It's a small builder. It's always tackling those more houses. But he just came in for the second one, so that's their. Well, I think with the amount of apartments that they're talking about down the road here, we're going to have to evaluate our apparatus as we're getting them step by step, because 400 apartments is still 400 apartments.
Yeah. It's going to be almost 200 in Quackenbury. Apartments be mixed retail / residential, which creates a lot of challenges.
Yeah, and again, I brought this to Brian's attention the other day because he handles this stuff for the district. Bill Miller mentioned to me that there's been a change in the NFPA code, possibly because right now with these apartment buildings, the way they've been previously set up was that it took two smoke heads for the fire department to be notified. One kind of notified the system that there was an alarm. The second one did the dialer. And that may have gone away. So now if that goes away, every time somebody burns toast, the fire department's gonna go rolling out. And that's gonna be quite a burden if that change actually occurred. So I love that Brian's good hands.
Thanks.
All right, anything else for development, plan review?
Like going on.
Firematic operations, Rich and Dave.
Well, we had a meeting, we did a Zoom slash, yeah, I guess it was a Zoom meeting. Did it on a Saturday morning here a couple weeks ago. Thanks, Bob, for setting that up and giving me a call 15 minutes before it started, because I still thought it was a Sunday morning meeting. And I wasn't even out of bed yet. So thanks for getting that going for me. Very productive meeting. We went over a bunch of stuff mostly related to the new truck coming in and how we operate and will be operating, or some of the equipment concerns about it, how that's going to lay out. We talked a little bit about the joint drills. And really, we're going to get back. We're going to do them at least quarterly and make sure that we're on track with things. I imagine with the new trucks coming in, we'll probably do one on or about the time they come in and make sure that everything's on track there. If we're not able to meet in person and do some of that stuff. So I don't know if you want that. Oh, the other thing we discussed in operations is COVID stuff and how that's progressing. So again, we'll be getting back together probably. The way we talked, it was like every 3 weeks or so, we're gonna have to get together. I think kind of wait and see the next time the governor does something big or the CDC does something big and react from there. In discussions at the district's meeting this week, I'd say we're not ahead of some of these departments in what we're doing. There's some that, of course, as was mentioned there's some districts in the state where they never did anything about COVID. They just got to let guys do what they want. There are some that are still completely locked down. Everybody wears a mask for everything, et cetera. And there's just a whole mix of how to do it.
Two unrelated things. One on the trucks, and if I missed this in conversation over the past months, are we planning any kind of, I don't know, welcome celebration when these things arrive, or haven't you got
That's
that?
what I'm working.
We haven't planned
I'd like to see us do something once they're in service, like a dedication, maybe summertime, but with COVID, nobody, we haven't touched it.
I know it was a discussion at my school meeting for this month. This was out there. If anybody had any ideas, nothing set in stone, I know.
Well, especially if you're gonna dedicate them to
Yeah,
two well-respected.
I think it might be a good thing to, when we get free and clear here, to do those at the same time and some type of a festivities for everybody that's been involved in all this crap.
And everything you hear in the news, they're saying by summer, a lot of this, especially the outdoor activities, really might be
And that would be good.
just something to.
Let the chiefs get a little thought, maybe I do one more thing on a truck though, I completely forgot.
All right. No, then the other thing, you mentioned the district conference, so you'd gotten that email that the Association of Fire Districts of New York State was having their annual meeting, and we hadn't really talked about it much before. I didn't even know about it, but I think it's great that Rich and Dave went out. So I was just wondering if you can kind of update folks, like what it was, what you saw. I think it's good that we're involved in these organizations, so thank you for going.
What I liked is this is the first time I've gone, and I've taken classes where Terry taught up Syracuse, but this was just kind of like a different spin from a different area and like Rich said, it was the island. And just the way they do their meetings and how they look at things is totally different sometimes than what we do, but it was kind of interesting to hear them. They covered the marijuana information, they covered the COVID stuff. So it was just a different set of eyes, which I think is important to see.
We went to 3 education sessions, specific. One was a panel of attorneys, and they had a list of probably 25 questions they worked through. And they weren't all in agreement between them, they weren't all in agreement on everything, which was typical. The challenge with that presentation was that, they weren't even through their entire list of questions. They ran out of time. So there was no time for Q&A and interaction with the crowd. It was strictly them talking. Then we went to one on second one was, they did a simulated meeting, that was pretty good. But as I told Terry before our meeting,
We get a simulated meeting.
they ran a commissioner's meeting.
From one end to the other.
They ran a commissioner's meeting with, they had somebody up there playing the role of chief. They had somebody playing the secretary treasurer, they had a purchasing person, they had an attorney, they had one of the attorneys play the role of the attorney. You had 5 commissioners, were all commissioners from different districts, but they played the role of the commissioner. And as I said, when I asked a question, I said, you did a great job in this because the discussion that they had when the chief came in, the chief came into this meeting and said, I think we need to buy a new engine. I got this proposal. It was like, whoa, wait a second. We don't even have it's 2 years before the time and we don't even have a plan for it. We need to, that was the discussion that we had last month about the area with a little less specifics. It was, so it was a very, very realistic presentation that they did. And I got a lot out of that. And then the third one was, it was directed towards COVID best practices and the new marijuana law, best practices there. But then it was run by Dave Dennis, who's a ESIP guy. And he kind of opened it, him and a guy from the National Association of Emergency Fire Officials or something. I never even heard of that organization. He was there doing some recruiting, but the two of them had this ran this discussion, which was kind of a rehash of the stuff that the attorneys did in the morning, but this time there was no attorneys in the room. So commissioners got to exchange best practices and ideas. What do you do? And that one didn't go as long as the others, but I think a lot of people there were like, the only thing keeping us from the parking lot and leaving is finishing this up. So that will work. But it'd be a good opportunity to walk around and talk to vendors. So I think it was well spent. They're doing something, I believe, locally in the fall. That goes a couple days, and there, obviously, we wouldn't have to do anything with lodging, I would think.
Yeah, the desert or something.
But like, we'll leave it to the desert. Terry's got that look like, usually what? Sorry.
Usually Saratoga.
Oh, Saratoga, okay. I don't remember, but either way,
Well, thank you both for going.
No, it was interesting. It was
the
definitely.
candidate that we supported for the second vice president did not win.
No?
No, 59-79 was the vote.
Who's the one we get all the emails?
Tom Rinaldi.
Did not win?
It 59-79, and it seemed to be a fairly geographic split of the vote. The candidate that won was from Long Island. He had announced a long time ago, and he had a lot of support there. So
I don't know Tom Rinaldi. I've never met him, but I'm quite impressed with everything he sends out. It's very thorough. I read it all the time. So, all right, well, thank you both. Public session. Oh, go ahead, Rich.
I don't know if I should have done this under apparatus or under new business or whatever, but the letter Bob mentioned about the receipt from Suffolk, essentially, it goes over what the steps they're gonna take, including the trucks, and that they're gonna have a delivery engineer here to teach us, and they wanna make sure we have all the right people here, et cetera, and I can go over that with the chiefs. I don't know if we're getting one session or two, or multiple sessions. We got more than one truck, we gotta get multiple sessions. So we'll take it, but that shouldn't be a problem, because I think Adam Shabrow is gonna be doing them, and I've known Adam for a long time. I've taught his firehouse for him. He can go over and teach our firehouse for me. So we can work that out. But more importantly than any of that, this letter was also the cover letter for the final invoices. So we've got 2 final invoices. Now this is pending any changes that we may make when we get down there, and anything we tell them we want done differently. This does not include any equipment milling that will be done at Vandermolen. That will be billed separately, because all the money we had for equipment mounting and shells and all that will be blew on the shells. Stuff that we get mounted up at Vandermolen, we're gonna be paying for. But we've got 2 invoices for 2 fire trucks, one for $601,077.38, and one for $600,312.44. So I'd like to see us, because Bob mentioned our next meeting is not until June 14th. We may have these trucks in our possession before that meeting. So I'd like to see us provisionally approve these, pending receipt of the trucks, obviously. And then go from there.
Terry, any comments before we approve a $1.2 million purchase?
I wish. Yeah, I mean, the thing that concerns me is if something's not right, you might want to have a holdback. 5%. You could have up to 25% upon.
I don't know what we did. I'd have to look and see what was in the contract we signed originally. Was there?
But you don't have to pay until you accept.
Oh, no, we wouldn't be paying until we accept it.
But you can pay some of it until you accept. That's my point. Typically, I don't know how long the training.
What it says is, following the delivery of the apparatus, testing, operations, and service demonstrations, and full payment, we will provide you with the manufacturer's statement of origin. That's what they said.
That's just they're just gonna mail it to you 2 weeks later. It just.
I mean, we could also, if you feel more comfortable,
Special meeting.
have a special meeting. It can even be elected Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, I have no problem with that either.
I mean,
I have no problem with that. I just want to make sure we got invoices for 1.2 million, guys. So.
So,
did I say-
They should notify you in advance when it's coming. Sean should be ready for it. You should know if your next inspection trip.
We'll
whether there's
have a better idea after the 19th.
And I guess it's the coordination of the training. I mean, they're gonna drop the trucks off, where's our check? And then we'll get to the training. I mean, that's not how this works. You have a holdback until you accept. So,
Rich, why don't you work with Terry?
Okay.
Yeah, work all this out, and when we need to have a special meeting, even if it's just by Zoom and people just want to quick log on, they've already done the homework, that's fine.
I just, only Sean didn't have palpation. So we had invoices for 1.2.
Well, I have no.
checks will be replied.
Do we know roughly how much it's gonna cost them to get back up here?
How much what?
It's gonna cost to upfit all the stuff back up here, because I know that each engine's budget is $650. And you're saying-
I don't know what the chief's got in mind for equipment mounts.
Right, and I'm saying, I
We
know you
haven't
mentioned
bought.
getting down there and whatever else we're gonna modify to this. You modify 30 grand, you need 30 grand, we're over budget.
We bought those
So I'm just
boards.
thinking,
The truck has those boards that take, I can't think of the name of it. No, they're not pegboards. They're pack boards, yeah. That allow for mounts for various types of equipment on it. We haven't bought any of those mounts. So we got a good buck invested in those boards. We haven't bought any mounts for like Halligan's axes, any of the fittings that we might want to do with the pump operations department, those kinds of things. So that's the kind of stuff that the chiefs have to come back and say, this is how we want to lay it out, this is what we need to do with it.
right now, I'm just saying, maybe be cognizant,
And
and
then
then not start modifying more, and also you're short money on this side.
And then there's also, it'll be done at their location. And they may be part of it, pulling down headliners or opening up things. I don't know what will happen there. But we're gonna have some wells, communication bells, because the Knox boxes and the radios can't be installed until they get up there.
Right.
So we're gonna have those bells.
Is there a way to get, especially before before you go down for your inspection? Because I think you raised a good point. It'd be good to kind of have at least a rough idea, like how much all these things are gonna cost, well, the mounting.
That way, when you get down there, hey, here's our 15, we can swing it, that kind of.
Well, you
Yeah.
guys got an idea of what you want to get mounted and how you want to do it, or?
I know that they have I don't want to say a big idea of where everything's gonna be. and how
Let's put
it's
some
gonna be
pressure on,
mounted, but,
let's put some pressure on you. I'll let you guys, you chiefs do it. Put some pressure on whoever you have doing this as far as, okay, we need to get a better idea so that we can start to talk dollars with Phil on what's it gonna cost to get these things mounted.
Yeah, because I have heard Brandon and Adam talk about mounts and stuff like that, so yeah, like this is gonna be a surprise.
Yeah,
No,
good to know,
but-
you're 4 weeks away potentially.
Right.
getting up there.
But you could get down there. I mean, I've seen it with 96, and when I went out with Dave and out for tours with the American France, I mean, we did approve several changes worth thousands of dollars, so
Yeah.
you want to just kind of know where you're at.
We went over the trucks pretty thoroughly at the mid-construction inspection. I don't see us making any changes.
I don't think we know.
Are the
No,
mounting
but
racks,
stuff comes up.
is that gonna be
I didn't know
settled
that we
before
didn't
the,
have lines.
Was that Terry?
are you gonna have a final price before something expects to be handed the check? Or are you doing the brackets and all that stuff afterwards?
Brackets and all that is separate, we're not doing that for Suffolk, we're doing that for Vanderbilt.
I get that, but the truck's going from Sutton to Vanderbilt, right? Aren't they is that where it's gonna go?
Yeah.
Okay, is the stuff gonna be done there before the trucks are delivered to you for, well, that's the
Probably.
$1.2 million question.
Probably.
Okay, that's what you need to know. Because, you know, if it's not gonna be done by the time you accept the trucks, then you have to pay something, it's gonna be done afterwards.
All right, figure it out.
All right. Public session, did we get anything?
We did.
Nothing for public session. All right, entertain a motion to
Yeah.
adjourn.
You do have one or possibly two other things. The
Okay.
Linesville Fire Department fund drive letter,
Oh, okay,
okay, that needs to be considered for approval.
all right,
And then the other thing was, which I think the two commissioners in charge of operations and equipment kind of authorized the chief already to do it, was this to standardize the fleet map for the high band radios. I think they already kind of told the chiefs to go ahead and do that, but I know the chief may be waiting for
We just want final.
they want the blessing on
The
that.
blessing to say, go ahead.
all
Yeah,
right.
that came about as they were laying out the mapping for the.
Do we need to vote on that?
We're spending some money.
Yeah, it's like 300.
Once you entertain the resolution.
Yeah, it's like $300 some odd dollars, and the whole thing is to get all the high band radios programmed the same. And Lowe's is gonna do it in a half day, they're gonna do the whole district in one half day, plus the two radios for the four new radios we're buying. Two for police cars and two for apparatus, so it's $380.
All right, so why don't you make that?
So resolved.
Wait a second. Roll call.
Ryan.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Rich.
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Okay. Any questions on the wine and skill fund drive letter? No. Does it look good? I'll probably.
Is there anything on there about being, your contribution may be tax deductible?
It was the same as last year.
No, there's nothing on there.
Okay, all right, I mean, you can put that on there, you just can't say your contribution is tax deductible. I think we had that issue many years ago.
Yeah, it was on, whatever was on last year.
Yeah, I mean, I've got. I just didn't know if there was language on there about that, so.
As long as it's not on there, it's tax deductible.
Yeah.
That would be the issue, so. Right, entertain a motion to approve the wine skill fund drive letter. I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. One other thing, for the fundraiser they're having for Buddy, should we approve that as a fundraiser, just God forbid somebody were to get hurt, at least they'd be covered?
It's at the American Legion.
No, I know.
Location makes no difference. It's a district fund, or, well, it's a company.
I'm just trying to look out for your.
Most of us in the firehouse are going to be going down.
I'm going down.
Get burned or something.
I'm supposed to be there at 1 o'clock, so.
Yeah. It's fine.
Or
This is-
If it's a fire department function sanctioned by the district, you can declare it to be a BFBL covered function. Is it a fire company function? I think so.
Chief,
Yes.
is it a fire company function?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, okay. So tell us how to word the motion.
The fundraising event that's going to be held on Thursday, the 14th.
Friday.
Friday, the 15th. Thursday, which is the 14th.
Friday.
Friday. Is a authorized DFBL activity for purposes of fire district and for purposes of general municipal law. By the board.
Okay, motion made by Rich, is there a second? By Nick, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. But I'd rather have the guys, yeah. All right, entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, Sean,
I'm sorry about that.
it's all right.
The primary is held like June 26th. It will be held at town offices. In the gym, or the gym has physical issues that need to be addressed that may make it unusable. So the town clerk wanted me just to plant the seed that they may be sending for your a letter for June requesting use of this room for the primary potential. Just let you know.
All right,
No official action yet.
don't they have multiple polling locations for that?
Usually no, usually just at the town office.
Really?
Yeah.
For primary?
Everything went really well here for November 11th, so.
All right, well, the seeds have been planted.
There you go. All right, so.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
8:40, that's good for us.
So,
Maybe you should show up late again.
Yeah.
Go on.
stand by one.